Today we have a really special guest, someone who's not just an expert in procrastination, talking about it, leaving it, talking about ending procrastination. He's also quite had the rebel philosophy in a lot of his life. So let's find out more. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure's all mine. And Peter, the last time we met, I remember it was our first meeting. I think we didn't imagine it to be a really long chat about
Yeah, it was
everything.
amazing. It was 2 months ago, and we spent like 3 hours together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I remembered what you said. Like, this should have been a podcast episode.
right.
And
So,
here
and
we are.
now here we are.
Never truer words have been spoken.
Yeah.
So, well, first let's pick up, on the rebel philosophy. Um, you know, I got introduced to you because someone told me that, because the podcast is called Rebel Curiosity, there is this rebel guest that I simply had to meet. And of course, you came highly recommended. So let's talk a little bit more about this philosophy. What is this rebel philosophy that you live by?
Yeah, for me, rebel philosophy is connected with my punk soul because I was playing in a punk band when I was 16 years old, electric guitar. And since then, I was thinking that I should stay a little bit punk, a little bit rebel for a whole my life because I think that it's very crucial to have a courage to step outside of the comfort zone, to do things that are unusual, and sometimes not to follow the crowd because the crowd is heading to the wrong direction. In my punk history, when I set up my own company,
Yeah.
it's also one of our values in the company. Like we are calling ourselves systematic punks. So I
Really?
love system, I love order, but sometimes I also love chaos
Yeah.
because somewhere in between chaos and order there is wisdom. It's my opinion because if you are too systematic, you are sometimes boring, and if you are too chaotic, you are irresponsible. But if you are in the middle, you can innovate a lot, but your systematic part helps you to finish those projects and ideas. So being in the middle of system and chaos is my way of life.
That's a fantastic philosophy. And I love that you have this Zen like organized calm about you. I
Yeah.
think when we talk about being a rebel and, we think a lot of like fighting the system, overthrowing something, being very destructive, or maybe just partying every day. But but for you, it's like it's a very fine balance. It's almost like you have a rebel mindset and a monk lifestyle. Okay, maybe not that extreme.
Yeah, I love minimalism. So my apartment in Prague is in a Japanese minimalist style. So basically, there's nothing inside, only a few paintings, and I truly love the order of being in a minimalist place because it makes me to calm my brain and to focus on what is important. But to be too much in a system, then you are truly boring. You are unable to think outside of box, and sometimes you need to do crazy things. So sometimes I do party, I go outside, and I do sometimes crazy things, and then I go back to my minimalist house and I relax there. So sometimes it's difficult to balance because you are constantly dancing between those two very strong powers,
Yeah.
and to balance yourself it's for a long life. You have to try every day to be balanced. It's for a whole life, I guess,
Mm.
to find a balance.
Yes. And I think life is a lot of that. Like, it's a constant search for that balance that's perfect for you
Yeah,
yourself, as opposed to what others are doing.
and it's not just between chaos and order. It's also finding balance between rationality and emotions, and focusing on others and focusing on yourself. Yeah, because I think that's truly the wisdom is between opposites. So,
Mm.
and sometimes it's a paradox because you need to combine very different things, like how to combine chaos and order, how to combine emotions and rationality,
Yeah.
how to combine to be selfish and selfless.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, but it's worth to try.
So I'm curious now, how did a young punk band guitar player with blue hair end up being someone who's so organized and so disciplined to, work on a topic like procrastination?
Yeah, the huge impact was when I set up my own company. I was 19 years old, and back then I was studying computer science. And I think that computer science helped me a lot because it was a very systematic field. So you base everything on zeros and ones, and you build a system out of it. And then I started to study law. So I was studying two difficult universities. Still, I went to all those parties. So
It's a good balance.
I had to find a balance, and I had to find my own system to survive because I had my own company, my own startup, two universities, and sometimes parties. So I had to find a solution how to stay organized, focused, and still enjoy life. Because for me, like, I don't want to be a boring person to be like with everything in order. For example, like if you exercise every day, it's great. If you sleep 8 hours a day, it's also great. But if you don't, if you are not able to do things outside of your comfort zone, for example, to travel, to try new things, to sometimes be spontaneous, well, that's not life at all. It's you are just waiting for to be old. So I think that it's truly important to be balanced. And in my case, it was that was about to live all those lives together, be an entrepreneur, being a student, enjoy my like childhood still, and still be somehow okay.
Have things changed since then?
Nope, I don't think that I changed a lot. I think that my soul is still punk, and I love Singapore because it's similar to Japan
Yeah.
in terms of how clean the city is, how grateful people are here, and how nice they are. So I feel here that my soul is Asian, but still my soul is punk. So it's somehow interconnected.
I love that. So tell us more about this punk soul definition. Like, that almost sounds like a Daft Punk song, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is the punk soul to you?
Well, in my definition, it's the ability to step outside of your comfort zone in the right moment. Because sometimes, like, you have a group of people, you have a crowd, and everyone is waiting, everyone is watching. And if something, for example, if there is an accident, for many people, it's difficult to act because they afraid to be different. They afraid that, for example, there will be a risk for them. So, and in psychology, they call this bystander effect.
Mm.
There are many examples of people that were watching a robbery and no one called police, for example, because everyone was thinking like, okay, someone else should do that, not
Yeah.
me. And in my definition, punk or rebel mindset, or what I describe in my book, is what Philip Zimbardo, professor of Stanford
Yeah.
University, calls the heroic mindset. Is that in this moment you should act. You should be the one who is okay to be different. So when you are okay to be different, it's easier for you to act in the right moment because you are a little bit weird, but you are used to be weird because you are weird in a different settings.
I really want to pick up on that. So I have your book in front of me right now. And, one of the pages that I highlighted is actually the part where you have met uh, Dr. Philip Zimbardo.
Yeah,
And, he is the lead scientist and experimenter of
yeah,
that Stanford prison experiment. And, for those of the people who have not heard of it, the Stanford prison experiment was about gathering a group of people, young
yeah.
people, and get them to play two roles, the prison guard and prisoners. And I guess, them stepping into that role kind of like unveiled certain things about humanity.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Could you share something about that and what interested you in that sense?
What is very important is that Philip Zimbardo then spent 40 years at Stanford University, and he did research on why people sometimes become evil.
Yeah.
And what is not that well known is that he also did a lot of research on why sometimes people become heroes, why those people are able to act when others are silent. And when you read his research, and I had a chance to meet him 3 times, 4 times, so I visited a few of his lectures, and then I gave him my book because I'm writing about him there, and he gave me an amazing review for the English translation of the book. So I know his work very well, and I think that it's truly groundbreaking, because sometimes we all experience the moment that we can do something for others, for the society. But it's truly, truly difficult to change the standard patterns of behavior.
Mm.
So, and what Zimbardo describes is that those heroes, um, they were okay to be different. They were sometimes misfits,
Mm.
rebels. Yeah. So truly, to be a rebel can increase the chance that when something is happening, you are able to act. So, and he has a project for kids that is called Heroic Imagination. He's basically teaching kids to be little heroes and to be okay to be different. For example, they did a research that they put a huge black dot on those kids' forehead, and then he led them to walk around and going on streets, and those kids with the black dot on their forehead were okay to be a little bit different, because they get used to those different faces of people around them, and they were able to step outside of their social comfort zone. Then there was a lady with it was a play, but it was a part of the study, so she pretended to have a heart attack, and those kids with the black uh, dot on their forehead were able to help in higher chance, or there was much higher chance that they helped if they
Yeah.
were okay to be different.
Yeah.
So this was a similar to the Stanford prison experiment, because there also there were a bunch of people that were put in a role of prison guards, and the hero of the situation was Zimbardo's colleague, and she pushed him to end the experiment prematurely, because it's slowly went truly terrible.
Yeah.
So, and now the lady is Zimbardo's wife. So
I love that fact. You put that in the book, and I love that little twist, you know. And
yeah,
and I actually like how Zimbardo actually appreciated that trait as well, you know. And I guess that's how he went from studying kind of like the evil side of
yeah,
human behavior to really focusing on heroism, which is the flip side of it.
because we all have those two parts in
Yeah.
ourselves, and we have to nurture the heroic part. And the best way how to do that is truly to embrace, be different, be pang, be a little bit weirdo, and be okay with that. Because a lot of people, they think that if you are different, it means it's somehow wrong, but it's not. It's your strength to be different. It's your strength to be different.
It's sometimes hard in different cultures, isn't it? Because in certain cultures where, you know, the constant state of things, like,
Hmm.
predictable behavior is expected. And we talk about this in countries like Singapore, Japan, where it's safer, and that there is the concept that if you're the nail that's sticking out,
Hmm.
you know
Yeah.
you'll be hammered back in, right? And yet, what you just described, it's a great mindset and philosophy to step outside what is the assumption, what
Hmm.
is the status quo.
Well, I guess it's also similar with post-communist countries that I'm from. We have democracy for 30 years now, but before that, for example, in the era of my parents, it was also like difficult to step outside of the crowd, because it
Yeah.
was dangerous. They
Yeah.
could arrest you, and if you were able to express your opinion, it was very dangerous back then. So still, you can feel that in my country that people are afraid to be different, they are afraid to step out, they are afraid to start their own businesses. But now
Mm.
I think that we live in the world that is okay to be different. So in many corporations, they embrace diversity. We are able to start our own businesses, we are able to record our own podcast.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you have to be different in a silly way. You can be different in a very positive way.
Mm.
You can start your own charity. You can do some volunteering and things like that. So being different doesn't mean that you have to, I don't know, cross
Mm.
the street on a red light, but
Yeah.
it means that you are able to act when everyone else is silent. So
Mm.
and it can be only in a positive ways.
That's a great point. Because I think what you just highlighted is the fact that it's not about breaking all the rules and
Yeah,
being different. It's about having a unique point of view,
right.
an individual perspective, and having your own motivation to act when it's appropriate.
Yeah. And I have a very strong story from my life because when I moved back to Prague from New York City, it was just when COVID started.
Mm.
And it was March 13th. I remember that day because it was one of those last flights from the US to Europe. And I was on board of that plane, and I was the only one who wore a face mask. And it was in that time that in Italy they had many casualties already, and it was the COVID was growing a lot, and still I was the only one wearing the face mask. And for me, it was the act of heroism too,
Yeah.
because I was different, and everyone was watching at me, like looking at me, and it was like, "Is he crazy?" And I was thinking, like, "No, you are crazy, all of you, without face masks." So it was a similar story. And when I arrived to Prague,
Mm.
I realized that no one is wearing a face mask outside. And uh, I, I had an experience from Japan that it was completely okay to wear a face mask.
In fact, it's expected for you
Yeah,
to wear a face mask.
yeah. So I made a video, and
Yeah.
I encouraged people to wear face masks, and the video went viral because I asked people to share a picture of themselves and share it on social media with the hashtag masks for all,
Mm.
and it truly went viral. And after a few days, the whole country started to wear face masks.
That's awesome.
And in the video, there was a part that you don't do it for yourself, but you do
Mm.
it for others.
Yeah.
So we made a claim: my mask protects you, your mask protects me. Slowly, it went viral internationally. So our video was featured in main news on CNN, on BBC. And at the end, even Donald Trump mentioned this claim in Oval Office. He said, my mask protects you, your mask protects me. So it was a little bit funny because it was after, let's say, 2-3 months after the video aired. So, but it was one of the most important things that I did in my life. This campaign for wearing face masks, because it's truly
Yeah.
helped people to be different, to step outside of the normal
Yeah.
pattern, not wearing a face mask, and to start to be okay to wear a face mask and be different at the beginning, and then the whole crowd followed,
Yeah.
the whole society followed.
Yeah. It almost feels like you're the, you know, you have the spirit of heroism in that space. Like it wasn't common. Like no one was wearing face masks. And because of what you did, the video, the example, and people started sharing. And then it got, acclamation, and then it became accepted.
Yeah, and it was huge. It was
Yeah.
like international movement.
Yeah.
So we have many volunteers all around the world. So for example, we have more than 1,000 volunteers in New Zealand, for example. And truly, the video went viral in many countries.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Israel, the video was on the main news, and the next day, the central government made masks mandatory. So, it was highly influential during COVID, and probably or hopefully it saves some lives too, because
Yeah.
I truly believe, and now we have a lot of signs that face masks simply work. They work. So, why not to use them?
Mm.
Yeah, why not to be heroes to protect others?
You're the tipping point in Malcolm Gladwell's book.
Yeah. Tipping point, because you need to have the first weirdo, someone who is doing something differently.
Yeah.
Then you have a small crowd that follows,
Yes.
and then you have international movement. So yeah.
You make it sound simple.
But that's the definition of leadership, right? To have your values and have a courage to follow those values.
Yeah.
This is definition of a value-based leadership that I truly believe in, and I think that we need more leaders like that.
So tell me more about this values-based leadership. Where did it start from?
Well, maybe yeah. when I was working with some companies, mostly family businesses, I recognized that they focus more on values compared to like international corporations, because international corporations, they have values everywhere. On every wall they have their values, but mostly those are empty phrases. No one believes them. But if you have a family business, like if you have a business that is, I don't know, third, fourth generation of entrepreneurs, they truly want to pass the company to the next generation. So they think differently about what they are doing. So I try to have my company also like a family
Mm,
business, because for example, one my number one employee works for me for 18 years now, and his sister is working for me, his wife is working for me, and his sister's husband is working for me. So
that's a
it's a,
family business.
yeah, that's truly family business, and I don't want to sell the company. Yeah, I want to have the same company till I am, I don't know, 70, 80 years old, and I want to do the same because I love what I'm doing. So I think that that's the difference between companies that they are on a stock exchange,
Mm,
because they are focusing on short-term growth.
yes.
And sometimes they miss what is important,
Yeah.
to do something meaningful in the long term. So I sometimes I yeah, there are some leaders and managers that they have values, but the system sometimes is like corrupt, because it only focuses on endless growth, and
Mm,
the mentality of endless growth is mentality of cancer cell too. So it's not that sustainable, and now we have many problems because of this mindset. And I have my favorite story that I lived 3 blocks from Wall Street, and a lot of my friends were working there. And the problem of Wall Street is that you have there the most successful people. They have MBAs or PhDs from Stanford, Harvard, best universities. But also, like Wall Street is a place with the highest rate of depression,
mm,
highest rate of antidepressant intake. And why so? Because they made a research there. What is the reason of this high level of depression? And the outcome of the study was lack of purpose, lack of those long-term values. So even though you have the best university, even though you earn a lot of money, doesn't mean that you are happy inside, that you are fulfilled. So that's the difference between big corporations focusing on a short-term growth, and those family businesses focusing on a long-term, meaningful impact on others, and on the whole society.
that's a really good example. And I just want to pick up on what you said about values sometimes just being words on the wall in
Uh-huh.
organizations,
Right. Yeah.
because ultimately values are your actions, your behaviors.
Right.
And when we talk about culture and how to do things within a company, it is formed from those actions and behaviors.
Right.
So without actually doing it, showing it, role modeling it, you cannot have values within an organization. And which is why talking about value-based leadership, it becomes so important then, because the onus is on the leaders to show that, to do what they can.
Exactly, 100% agree. I think that leadership is more the action rather than those values on walls. Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I'm sure in running a business, there are challenges that you face as well. Have you ever been in a situation where it felt like it was contradictory to your values, but yet could be very beneficial to the business?
Well, I have a very sad story. I had a colleague and he was one of our sales managers. And he was very successful. He brought a lot of businesses, a lot of clients. The problem was that he was a little bit strange in terms of values. So he was a, let's say, misfit in terms of values. And I was about to make a decision if I want to work with him or not.
Mm,
And even though we lost a lot of money, I followed my values, so I ended the cooperation with him, and we lost around 1/3 of our income. But still, it was worth, because then the whole culture of the company went up, went
mm,
like sometimes it's difficult, because you have those choices, like whether to earn more money or whether to
yeah.
follow your values. And in my experience, in the long term, it's always much better to follow your values. even though you lose one third of your income.
That's a huge hit to take in the short term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like for example, during COVID, yeah, we lost very huge portion of our income because before COVID we did everything in person. So we did 5 big conferences in
Mm.
Prague. We did a lot of keynotes in person. But when COVID hit, we lost, I don't know, 80% of the income. And in that time, I was thinking what to do, and I did a project about face masks. So I was not focusing on saving my company. I invested 100% of my time for that volunteering project of spreading face masks around the world. And I asked my colleagues like if they can save the company for me, and they did that. So we started to do online trainings, online conferences, and the company survived. But it was not my thing. I didn't save the company. My colleagues did that for me, and I was focusing on values. I was spreading the message of wearing face masks.
That's an amazing story to hear as well. And it takes a certain level of strength actually to empower others to run the business for you.
Yeah, and I have amazing team. Like
Yeah.
in my managing team, there are like 6 people, and all of them are just perfect. They're like my second family, and I trust them. For example, I can be here in Singapore, and I trust them that they run the business better than me. But it took me a lot of time. Now it's 18 years that I have the company, that I have my own business. Still, I'm 100% owner, and the thing is that I had to have the courage to say no to those people with different values.
Mm.
So I think that diversity is crucial, but not in terms of values.
Right. Right. That makes a lot of sense. What mistakes do you think leaders make when it comes to entrusting their teams to do things? You seem to have perfected that process.
Yeah, I did a lot of consulting with Fortune 500 companies, family businesses. So I've found that we are not that different. Like if you work with people, well, it's almost everywhere the same. Like we have the same brains with same centers. We are all emotional. We are all sometimes like uh, egoistic. We
Mm.
feel and think that we are like better than others and so on. So we all have the similar problems, and we do similar mistakes. And I think that the best way to become a better leader is to embrace humility and humbleness.
Mm.
So, and when you are asking me what is the main mistake or the mistake that leaders do very often, is that they are not humble enough. Yeah, they are not able to admit their own faults. They are not able to say sorry, I was wrong, or they somehow think that they lose a status or something. So even though they were wrong, they are unable to admit that, and this is very sad. So I think that the best leaders are humble leaders, are leaders that are completely okay to say, I don't know, I was wrong, or I made a mistake, and say sorry for that. And in the long term, you build trust with that. If you are egoistic, if you believe that you never did a mistake, you can build a culture that people afraid you. The people afraid you, but you don't build a trust. You don't build a safe
Mm.
space.
And it sounds like, the best leaders actually surround themselves with people smarter than them, right?
Right?
And can
Yeah.
do things better than them. And unfortunately, traditional leadership models have kind of built up this sense of the leaders should know best.
Hmm.
The leaders should have the answer and know the direction to go, which is exactly opposite of, the humble style leadership that you're describing.
Yeah, and you can feel and see the impact in politics. For example, like in Europe or in the US, now we are experiencing the growth of populist leaders, that they have answers that are black or white, very simple,
Yeah.
and people, they want to have those strong leaders with simple solutions. But the problem is that the world is not simple. We live in a very complex world,
Yeah.
and if you are 100% sure about something, it means that you are wrong.
I love that.
So we need more humble leaders, even in politics, and we have to like understand that the world is very complex, and if someone is telling you that it's simple, probably he's wrong. Yeah.
I love that philosophy. And to be very clear on that, like if you're 100% clear on something, it's about, an egoistic stance to things as opposed to being very uncertain about things. And I think a lot of people think that, like you said, in a black and white way,
Yeah.
you're either certain or not. But there is a spectrum of gray in kind of like where we go between black
Right.
and white. And
Exactly. Yeah. And I was studying what is called complex system science. And basically, the definition of complex system is that you cannot predict complex systems. So, whenever you think that you understand the system, you are wrong because it's a complex system, and by definition, it's difficult to predict. So, if, for example, nowadays someone is telling you that AI is perfect and it will solve all our problems, he's wrong. And also, those people that are telling that AI will kill us, he's also wrong because it will be something in the middle. It will be something like the gray zone,
yeah.
probably, because all those complex systems are difficult to predict. And that's why we should be all humble because the world is complex system and everything is much more difficult and much more complex than we think.
So how do we develop our own voice and identity then if we are, never correct in that sense?
Well, then we have to go back and again embrace the ability to step outside of the comfort zone and test things. So if you are a rebel or punk or the weirdo, and if you test things, then you are able to navigate yourself quicker than others. So, for example, nowadays, if you are able to test ChatGPT, if you are able to test other AI tools, you will be able to use them quicker than others. And I embrace people to just being outside of their comfort zone and test things. And somehow your brain connects those things subconsciously. And if you embrace this mindset of being outside of the comfort zone all the time, you will be much quicker in innovation and you will be much agile in terms of, for example, embracing those changes in your company culture.
I'm glad you spoke about AI because that's kind of like one of the things that I do want to talk to you about. AI was also the topic that we spoke about in our last 3 hour long session. We spoke a lot about the future of work
Yeah.
because the world is changing. And, just today I had a conversation with someone around the question of should people be generalists or specialists?
I think both.
Let,
They
tell me.
they call that T-shaped. Yeah, like you have um, one field that you are truly able to go deep, but you have to be able to go shallow in all those other fields. So they call that T-shaped. And sometimes there's also another theory that is called like P-shaped, like the Greek letter P
Right,
with two
right.
two deep likes. And so, for example, nowadays the most innovations are between fields. For example, if you are a computer scientist and a lawyer or a medical doctor,
Yeah.
then you are able to innovate because you have two deep expertise. So I think that nowadays the best thing is to truly try a lot of things, a lot of different things, but also be able to dig deeper in two fields and then to connect those fields together.
Mm. So have a specialized area of expertise, but still keeping yourself open of like
Right.
different
Yeah.
knowledge, learnings.
Yeah.
And also, I actually had like a slightly different perspective on that because in the world that's changing so
Mhm.
rapidly, it's hard to be specialized in anything and be rewarded for it.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. For example, I was also thinking like, what should be my specialty? Like, I love almost everything what I'm doing,
Mm.
so I decided that my specialty should be the complex system science, because if you understand complex systems, then you understand economy, you understand people, you understand politics, and basically you understand a little bit everything. So in my case, I decided to dig deeper in the field of complex systems, and now I decided to dig deeper in AI, because I think that AI will shape the world a lot, and if you don't understand AI, then you will have problems in the future. So there was a beautiful new report from IBM, and the outcome of the report was that they were telling something like this: that AI won't take jobs, but AI will take jobs of people that don't use AI.
It's a great example.
Yeah,
You know, it's also the fact that if your job, and we discussed this before, if your job can be done by AI more quickly, more efficiently, and I shared the example of like all the things I had to do that were months of work was resolved in 5 seconds. Like, why don't we embrace AI? And then the challenge for me to step up as a worker is to evaluate the value I bring.
yeah. That's gonna be a topic of my new book. I want to write a book about purpose at work, and I truly have to rethink the whole book, because AI will change everything. Like a lot of people, they will lose their purpose, because, as you said, if AI is quicker,
Yeah.
cheaper, and better,
Yeah.
how you can feel purpose, how you can feel useful. That's the thing that what Yuval Noah Harari describes as useless class. We will have a problem with people that they will lose their jobs because of AI, and they will lose their sense of purpose. So my estimation is the probable growth of depression again, because those useless people, they will lose the sense of purpose, meaning in life. We somehow have to help them to find a new life mission or something. So this is gonna be a huge challenge for all nations or all countries, because AI is here. We are after the tipping point, and now you see that it affects workspace already. The estimation is that we will truly need to rethink the whole system of education, rethink the whole system of how we work with like skills development in companies, because AI skills will be the most important skills for the workspace in the future.
Mm. I remember, one of the things we discussed that becomes more apparent with the advent of AI
Hmm.
is the critical thinking skills.
Right. Yeah.
Like as the busy work gets done by AI, machines, and technology, it's no longer enough for a worker to be doing something, but rather that worker needs to be thinking.
Yeah.
And
An ability to divide your task into smaller ones and to prioritize them, then you can use AI, but still you need to orchestrate the whole system by yourself. You need to understand how to divide your task into smaller ones, and how to organize your daily activities better,
yeah,
and then you can use AI for greater productivity. But at the end of the day, you are the one who's using the AI,
yeah.
so you need to have a like long-term vision what you want to accomplish.
And the other thing as well, human connection. I think that's the part that AI hasn't quite touched yet.
Of course, that's why I'm so happy that we record this podcast in person,
Oh yes.
and no, not with our AI avatars.
Not through the virtual.
Yeah.
I think human connection becomes more and more important as technology grows. I think people will realize as with the COVID period, things can be done virtually, and the tech will resolve a lot of things. But the connection, like you say,
Yeah.
in person, and like
Yeah.
at events and conversations, like in real time,
Yeah.
that is completely different.
Completely different for me as a for a speaker. It's even more important, because during COVID I did more than 100 online sessions,
Yeah.
webinars, online trainings, and I'm truly tired. I love to meet people in person,
Yeah,
and it has different energy. It's
yeah,
much deeper, much more positive in the way that you connect.
yeah,
And now I'm happy that we are going back to the old world with
yeah.
the real events, in person events. And I think that this will also be the effect of AI, that AI will do those repetitive tasks, and we can spend more time together to connect.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. That's a perfect use of AI.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I don't know, for example, with podcast recordings,
yeah,
yeah, I record my podcast and I use AI for many things. I use AI for preparation. For example, Google Bard is connected to the internet, so you can ask Google Bard, okay, I'm going to have an interview with this guest,
mm,
please do the research, uh, read his last 10 interviews, and give me some ideas what we can discuss. And Google Bard in few seconds can give you truly good preparation for the podcast recordings. Then I use another AI for cutting the podcast. You can use it's called Autopod, and in few seconds the whole podcast is cut it perfectly almost. So you don't need to cut your podcast and spend
mm.
3 hours with that. No, you should spend your time with the discussion and use AI to finish the work for you.
I need to learn from you on that.
Yeah, and there is another AI to clean the sound of the podcast, and another AI that can go through the recordings and make the text out of it, and for example, to summarize it in five bullet points. So I think that I don't want to like go and read the
Mm.
whole recordings again and make some summaries. It's boring. I want to record another episode,
Yeah,
another, and let AI to do
yeah.
the unimportant things around.
So that you can focus on the right things, the more
Right? Yeah.
important
And
things.
the best thing is to connect,
Exactly.
to be here and have this discussion.
So I want to talk about your book now called The End of Procrastination. And you started the book by talking about this terrible accident that happened, which was almost life threatening.
Right? Yeah.
And that completely changed your perspective and made you write this book.
Yeah. I'm very lucky that I experienced twice in my life something that is called near death experience. For the first time, it was a medical situation. I was 17, 18 years old, and I was playing basketball and in my high school, and something strange happened with my right arm. I felt something like it was very strange, and I thought that it was because of the ball, because I was playing basketball. And slowly, after let's say half an hour, right side of my body was paralyzed. It was kind of brain paralysis, and I was very young back then, and it was my first experience that I was thinking that okay, I also can die. It's very uh, weird and very strong emotion when you first for the first time experience the possibility of
Mm.
your own death. Luckily, I survived. After few days, everything went back to the normal without any side effects. So luckily, it was just for a few hours basically. But some people, they survived it, some people don't. I didn't know in which group I am. And since then, I know down that I want to live my life to the fullest. Yeah, because if I experience the similar thing again, I want to know that I truly enjoyed the whole life and I didn't waste it my life with procrastination or some useless things. And I experienced something similar when I had a flight from Amsterdam to Prague in 2015, and after the takeoff the right engine blew up
Oh
and there was fire and it was very scary. uh, and we had to do emergency landing, so that's the thing that they described at the beginning of every flight, and you never listened. We had to go back to the Amsterdam airport, Schiphol, and we were in the braced position and we were waiting for the impact truly, and we survived that. So but it was very scary, it was very noisy, and again all my life flashed in front of my eyes, and I was thinking like, okay, it's not scary it's a little bit sad that it can end, but the life can end. But I was happy. I was fulfilled. I felt that I lived an amazing life. So again, I survived that for the second time, and since then, I'm still trying to live every day meaningfully and to the fullest. So that's why I travel a lot. That's why I do things that I do, because that's why I'm an entrepreneur, because just want to do things, and I don't want to waste my life and time with meaningless activities. So now that's the reason why I use AI, because I don't want to waste my time with those unimportant tasks that AI can do quicker and better. So this is my life experience, that life is short, and we should ask ourselves, like, what we truly want to do with this time that we have. And the time that we have is both finite and it's limited. So if you recognize this, and sometimes you recognize this if it's too late, sometimes you need to step outside and you need to stop for a while and think about, like, what is the most important thing that you can do in your life, and do it.
That is an important reflection, I think, that a lot of people don't have
Yeah,
or
yeah.
recognize.
Yes, sometimes they recognize it if it's too late,
Yeah.
because when we are sick, then we appreciate being healthy. When we are facing our death, then we appreciate
Mm.
the life. But sometimes it's too late. So it's better to be grateful for those things before we are losing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the first memory that came to you in the near death experience that you described?
During the flight, I was thinking, because I wear a jacket, so I was thinking, like, should I wear the jacket or not? Because
Thank you for being so honest.
yeah, and it was truly hopeless, or you could not do anything. You could not call your parents, for example. You could not write something on the last memories or things, because yeah, you just have to sit and wait,
And it's out of your control.
and completely out of your control.
Yeah.
So I was trying to meditate a little bit. So I did some mindfulness techniques.
Mm.
I was focusing on my breath. And then I was thinking, like, okay, but if it happens, it happens. And I truly lived an amazing life. Sometimes I'm saying that I lived a life that was like three lives of other average people. So if it's here, I can handle that.
You accept it.
Yeah. So it was not scary. It was a little bit sad, but not
Mm.
scary. I was like, okay, if it happens, it happens. It's outside of my control. So what can I do with that? Nothing. So
What was the one thing that you felt that you want to do right after you realized that, okay, you're safe?
yeah, well, when we landed, it was very nice experience, because a lot of people were hugging. I was hugging with the lady next to me, and the pilot came outside of the cabin, and he shake the hand with everyone. So it was very strong moment. So, and we left the airplane, and there was a group of musicians, and they started to play their music instruments because they had them on board, and
Oh,
people
wow.
started to dance, and I recorded that, and again it went viral. And then I did a lot of interviews for
Mm.
like national television in my country, because it was the national carrier.
Mm.
So it was funny, because I did more interviews about this accident, and more than when I wrote the book. So that was my first experience afterwards. So
Right. Well, but like what you said about you reflecting on life and realizing that, you have to focus on the things that's important to you. It's a little bit kind of like the key soul of this book as well.
right, yeah,
Because procrastination, a lot of people think it's about not doing things. But you define procrastination, and I think that's a bit, more apt, is choosing to do the wrong things as opposed to focusing on the right things.
right, yeah, yeah. Because, for example, if you are in the office, and you see your colleague in next desk,
Yeah.
and he seems to work. Yeah, he
Yeah.
seems to be very productive. He's replying all those emails,
Yeah.
but maybe he's procrastinating too, because he should do something much more meaningful than replying to those emails. So that's why I sometimes feel that emails are toxic, because they are full of priorities of other people. So your priority is not to reply all your emails. Your priority should be to focus on what is truly important. And replying emails, come on, this is not the best thing to do for your business, for example. So
Washing dishes is mine.
yeah,
Every time I have to do work, I feel the need to clean the house.
that's why I have that very clean apartment too. Because when it's completely clean, you cannot clean something else. So
There's
then
nothing,
you have to work.
nothing to distract you.
Yeah.
So here's a question that I said I have a question for you. I I love to learn how to play the electric guitar.
Okay.
I can never get around to practicing it enough. And I felt like when I was reading your book, I was like, okay, I think this is a classic example, you know?
So and now you have a new guitar and you are practicing.
Uh, I still have a guitar
Uh-huh.
and I still am not practicing enough.
Okay.
So if you were
But you are
coaching
practicing a little.
a little, very
Okay.
little, and
So,
yeah, so if you were coaching me in this instance, like what would you do?
well, I'm not a fan of big changes in life. So I would ask you like how you can do a small change. So like in terms of habits, it's much better to focus on small gradual changes rather than to change your whole life from one day to another. So I would ask you like how you can um, improve yourself just a little bit. So now, how many minutes a day you practice?
Um, I think I could answer how many minutes a month.
Okay, how many minutes a month?
Well, maybe 30 minutes a month.
30 minutes a month. So let's discuss how you can improve yourself and, for example, play 30 minutes a week. The best is to have the habit based on repetitive events in life. So what is the best? For example, if I want to exercise, I have meetings with my personal trainer every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So in my calendar, I have those repetitive events, and it's much higher chance that I fulfill those promises. So I highly recommend you to set a exact time for practicing. For example, Sunday afternoon,
Right.
30 minutes, and put it in your calendar like
Right.
a repetitive task, and that can increase your motivation. And what is the best is to have someone that you do the thing together. So for example, if you have a personal trainer, of if you have a sparring partner for, I don't know, playing tennis or whatever, so it can also increase the chance that you will practice. So you can find a guitar teacher, or you can teach someone else to play. That was
Oh,
my case. I was teaching three girls when I was 16. I was teaching three girls how to play electric guitar, and I played like maybe a few months longer than them. But it motivated me a lot.
I'm sure that the fact that they were girls helped during that time.
Yeah, you're right. And it was a nice like weekend job, yeah, because
Yeah.
back then everyone had a like uh like weekend job in a supermarket or something, and I had three girls coming to my parents' house, and I
Yeah.
teach them to play electric guitar.
You were the cool
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, and and it worked because my motivation was very high.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. So make it easy. So put it in the calendar and find a accountability buddy. That's what you're
right.
saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
and decrease the amount of the activity. So
right.
if 2 hours is a lot,
Mm,
start with 15 minutes.
right.
So it's similar with running. Yeah? If you
Yeah.
want to start running tomorrow, and if you tell yourself to run 10 kilometers,
Yeah.
you will fail
Yes.
because it's too huge. And procrastination is all about emotion. So the
Mm,
bigger the task is, the more negative emotions you have, and the higher chance is that you procrastinate. So if you want to start running, tell yourself, okay, 5 minutes, 10 minutes on a treadmill, or just wear a sportswear, go outside and go back. Yeah.
right.
So you always need to find a small step that is completely okay for you, and then to repeat it, and then you build a habit, and then gradually you can increase the amount of the activity. So in science they call this micro habits, and it seems that this is the only way to build sustainable habits in life, like micro habits, small steps, gradually, and repeat them, and then increase the activity.
Do you have to put in things that would give you positive emotion as well? For example, and this is not a great one, having ice cream after a run.
Well, based on science, ending matters. So, for example, when I do exercise with my personal trainer, we end with a very pleasant activity that we do some stretching, and it's very pleasant, very nice to me. So ending matters. That's 100% truth based on science. But ice cream after running, it's not a positive ending because it can undermine your positive emotion from the run. So I recommend something better. I recommend, like, if you go running, so you can at the end do a little meditation, or you can, for example, I don't know, to visit your favorite cafe and have a nice tea there. For example, I love green tea, so I have my morning routine that I do a cold shower in the morning, so it's not that pleasant. But after that, I do my green tea routine. So
Right.
those two habits together are very pleasant. I can overcome myself every morning with a cold shower, but it's much better when I end the morning with the green tea that I love.
Right. Well, that's really good advice. Like, do something that you enjoy, but that's not detrimental to whatever you
Right.
were doing
Yeah.
before.
Because ice cream is not a positive thing, right? Like
Well, not to
it's
some people.
well, it's not healthy thing.
Right.
Yeah, it can be positive, but not that healthy.
Okay.
And after running, well,
All
yeah,
right. I was just about to suggest maybe an hour of Netflix, but I don't think that's good either.
no, no. Like you can always find something that is positive in terms of emotion, but not
Mm.
destructive, like ice cream or Netflix. Sorry, guys from
Okay.
Netflix.
Right. I have to work on my examples and think about something more positive. Maybe
Yeah.
have a coffee or something, a black coffee.
And meditation,
Mm.
or you can just do some, like, reflection, or for
Yeah.
example you can write a diary.
Yeah.
Every day I write a diary,
Yeah.
and now I do it for 11 years, and every day I have filled in my diary. Is another method from the book, and it's about three gratitudes. So I note down three things that I was grateful for a day, and it's truly amazing. So now I have 11 years, so it's a lot of data. I understand myself much more in detail, because I know that there are some people that when I meet them, it's always a positive thing. I have some activities that I'm 100% sure that if I do, they are always in my, I call that flow list, or
Mm.
gratitude journal. So it helps you to uncover what things makes you happy, and what activities or people makes you happy, and you can increase those activities on daily basis, so you can focus on them much more.
I know a lot of people who start on this exercise would usually tend to write very small things. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm thankful or grateful for a coffee that I have in front of me in the morning. And, I think sometimes writing the gratitude journal then becomes a feeling exercise. How do you get past that to get into that deep reflection that you are truly appreciative of?
You have to have the mindset of the little hero, or rebel, because you need to test things,
Yeah.
and you need to do things outside of your normal stereotypical life. And usually when I do something outside of my comfort zone, that's the thing that becomes a one of those three things that I'm grateful that day. So I encourage people to try new things, to test them, and then to write diary afterwards. And it helps you to um, to strengthen this habit of living outside of the comfort zone, because you then realize that, well, most of my positive experiences in life were outside of my comfort zone. Because if you live stereotypically, then it's just a fill in exercise. But if you do crazy things sometimes. If you do things outside of your comfort zone, then it's much deeper and you have much stronger positive emotions.
Yeah, I think that's great. And for people who wants to step outside their comfort zone, what is the one small thing that they can do, let's say tomorrow after hearing this podcast?
You can start with the cold shower, but it's
That's
not
a
that
joke to the system.
pleasant. It's not
Yes.
that pleasant. But you can start with like a very hot one, and at the end you can like truly with small steps push the cold one. So for example, at the beginning it's like 5% cold, then the next day 10%, and slowly you can be able to reach the full cold. So this is the thing that I truly encourage, because there are a lot of scientific studies that cold shower in the morning increase the level of your dopamine, and it sustains. So it lasts many hours. So
Really?
it's much better than drain your dopamine on social media,
Right.
because we have one pool of dopamine, and if you drain it in the morning with social media, you miss the dopamine for meaningful work afterwards. So my main advice is not to waste your like dopamine in the morning on social media, and have the dopamine boosting routine, which
Mm.
can be the cold shower or a little exercise or 5 minute mindfulness meditation, for example, or all those three activities together. So if you boost your every morning with this morning routine, it's much better because you have a higher level of dopamine during the day, and you are able to procrastinate much less.
Fantastic. That's a really great practical tip.
Yeah, and it works, and it's evidence based, and I do that by myself, so I'm a living example that it
Yeah.
works.
It's proof.
Yeah, it's proof.
What are you curious about these days?
Well, about AI, we
Yeah.
already discussed that. So I'm amazed how AI is growing or advancing every day. So now the Open AI a few days ago they said that they have a new model for pictures, DALI 3, and it's amazing. It's much better than the previous one. So we will have a new tool to generate pictures. Like we have Midjourney. Midjourney is almost perfect, but now they have another competitor, DALI 3. So it seems even better. It can generate text, for example. Midjourney can't. And I'm very interested in how you can use ChatGPT for personal growth, how you can
Mm.
use ChatGPT as your personal coach or mentor. And it's amazing. If you ask ChatGPT, like, okay, I want to improve those skills, or what books should I read? What routines should I deploy? It's very good in terms of coaching.
Mm.
So I think that this is going to be a future of education, because the good education
Mm.
is always personalized
Yeah.
and based on your needs.
Yeah.
And basically, if you are a teacher
Mm.
and you have 30 kids, it's difficult to
Yeah.
deliver the personalized education. But with AI,
Mm.
we can truly do that. And I think that all of us, we now should like embrace ourselves to use AI for improving ourselves, because that's the best thing that we can do, like
Yeah.
to growth, and use AI to even grow faster.
And this brings back to, what we spoke about at first, which is the developing your own point of view and kind of like having your own perspective on things, right? To
Right.
be a hero, to be a rebel, to be a punk. Because if you have your own individualized learning that's not part of the system, you will slowly learn that your own opinions actually matter.
Yeah.
And then you can step out the comfort zone even better.
Also, what is very important is to test your strengths. I think that a lot of people, they are trying to struggle with their weaknesses all the
Mm.
time, and then they are demotivated, they are losing their self-esteem. But if you test yourself, there are many like tools to test your strengths. So if you spend like 80% of your time developing your strengths and only 20% to fight with your weaknesses, you are much more fulfilled. You have much more positive emotions at the end of the day. So combination of testing strengths and using them on daily basis, and combination of using AI to deliver your personalized and like very to the point development. Those two things together, strengths and AI, can help you a lot with your development and with developing your future skills.
Right. And not just focus on correcting weaknesses, just focus
Yeah,
on building the strengths.
that's the problem
Yeah.
of recent education, that it's very focused on mistakes
Mm.
and
And correcting it. Like,
in correcting them, and then people are scared to try because they are afraid of doing mistakes. And there is a beautiful study that even though if you try and fail, at the end you feel much better compared to people that never try. So that's the again the rebel mindset, that is about trying, and sometimes I don't care that I fail. I am happy that I tried.
I think you just answered, the last question I was about to ask you. What's your definition of rebel curiosities?
I want to summarize the whole podcast in one, let's say, little bit deeper philosophical idea. I think that life is short, right? So we don't want to waste our time with procrastination, but sometimes we don't know what to do. So we need to uncover our strengths. And if I know my strengths, then I need to have a courage to try new things. And if I try new things, sometimes I fail, and it's completely okay. So when I fail, what should I do is to say myself or tell myself, okay, let's start again and fail again and fail again. And if I base my life on this method of trying and failing, then sometimes you uncover something very important. You uncover new ideas, new innovations. And I think that this is the definition of life, because if you live stereotypically, that's not life. You are just waiting for that. But if you are able to live outside of the comfort zone and test things, then your life is much more colorful.
Fantastic. I think you just made the point that curiosity and courage just go together, hand in
Yes.
hand.
Yeah. And of course, like you need to courage for that, but well, courage is the situation when you don't afraid of failure. So the more you afraid of failure, the less courage you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you.
And next time we have to again spend our time with another discussion in person, because
Yes.
yeah, let's do this as a habit.
You will be a recurring guest. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much, Peter.
much.